that we will rebuild Britain with wealth created in every community. Our NHS back on its feet facing the future. Secure borders, safer streets, everyone treated with dignity and respect at work.
They can't put a flag meme on one of their Facebook pages or they get arrested, right, which is what happened in Germany.
Yeah, or talk about, so if you talk about the immigration problem and you say, look, we got to stop this, we got to, maybe secure borders. If you talk about the Ukraine war and say, I don't think we should be supporting, dumping more resource into Ukraine, all those things, or reproductive rights, if you're on the wrong side of that from a European perspective, they're coming after you and so that's what JD Vance came after. He turned the tables on them.
Timing isn't just everything, it's the kill shot. And Joe Rogan didn't just time his strike on Keir Starmer, he orchestrated it like a tactical airstrike on Hypocrisy. 1 minute, Starmer's posing as the patron saint of democracy. The next, he's duct-taping dissent like it's radioactive. Joe didn't criticize him, he demolished him. This wasn't a podcast. It was a truth missile with Starmer's contradictions in the crosshairs. The Guy Fawkes of podcasting lit him up like a bonfire of civil liberties. And while people wept over JD Vance's mic drop moment, Starmer was busy trying to gag the entire public square.
Literally tears being shed over JD Vance's speech.
What was it about his speech in particular that was offensive?
He turned it onto the European Union and to EU countries and the UK in particular, talking about how, their biggest threat isn't necessarily Russia or China. Their biggest threat is what they're doing to themselves.
What made Vance's speech so dangerous? Simple. He told the truth. He exposed Europe's obsession with censorship and used the UK as Exhibit A. Starmer's fingerprints were all over that mess.
What do you make of Keir Starmer's attacks on freedom of speech?
It's exactly what you'd expect from someone who holds his position. It's nothing new.
Let's be real. Starmer's silencing speech is as surprising as rain in London. It's not new. It's his brand. If he had a superpower, it'd be muting anyone who makes him uncomfortable. And he's using it like a kid with cheat codes. Once a legal lion, now he's just a malfunctioning Alexa, spitting out safe slogans with zero soul. He didn't drift from his values, he torched them.
Determining that, this type of speech is illegal, we're going to pursue you, we're going to fine you, we're going to jail you, armed raids against people that are, pushing content online. So he made
including anti-immigrant content. Right?
Anti-immigrant content. But to be fair, right, most of Europe at this point is pretty fed up.
And Rogan, he saw it, called it, roasted it. Calm, precise, devastating. He exposed how in modern Britain, polite disagreement can land you in cuffs, while the guy silencing critics struts around as a moderate.
Doing it because they genuinely think this is a moral and ethical thing to do.
No.
They're doing it because they sense an uprising.
So I think, they're not rightly, but they are concerned.
Starmer preaches accountability, but runs from it like it's the plague. He promises reform while choking debate. Says he listens, but only to pre-approved voices on an algorithmic leash. This wasn't just a takedown, it was a wake-up call. Rogan didn't rant, he revealed. And what he showed is terrifying. The biggest threat to UK liberty isn't foreign. It's wearing a Labour badge and rewriting the rules of speech. Keir Starmer doesn't just want to govern, he wants to script the entire nation's dialogue. Dissent? That's now a court summons. Free speech? Treated like a virus. And Silicon Valley? Oh, they're right there with him, playing censorship concierge. Starmer's crackdown isn't about peace, it's about control. And thanks to Joe Rogan, the mask just got ripped clean off. It's almost too twisted to believe. Starmer, the so-called champion of the working class, turning the mic over to mega corporations with a trigger-happy delete button. Because nothing says grassroots movement like letting unelected tech execs decide what the public is allowed to read, post, or question. Starmer talks a big game about standing up to these tech giants, especially when children are involved. But let's be honest, 1 second it's about banning machetes online, the next it's about banning your opinion because it's problematic. The bait and switch couldn't be more obvious if it came with a disclaimer. And don't think the censorship stops at the keyboard. Oh no, Starmer's labor has perfected the art of silencing voices even within its own walls. Disagree with the leader? You're done. Challenge the narrative? Prepare for exile. Debate isn't discouraged, it's deleted. In Starmer's Labour, party loyalty isn't a choice, it's a submission form. You either toe the line or you become another cautionary tale, another vanished name in the shadow of press releases and politically correct purges. Let's talk about this cult-like grip. There are no robes, no incense, just spreadsheets, NDAs, and a sanitized corporate-style authoritarianism that pretends it's all in the name of progress. Starmer doesn't swing with ideals. He governs with a checklist of what can and cannot be said, printed, or even thought out loud. His policies are cloaked in buzzwords like safety and inclusion, but the only thing being protected is the establishment's monopoly on truth. And let's not forget, Starmer's silent expansion of state powers has all the hallmarks of a slow-boil authoritarianism. It's not loud, it's quiet, sneaky, the kind of power creep that turns journalists into liabilities, protesters into criminals, and whistleblowers into threats to national security. It's government overreach disguised as public service, all delivered in the dry tone of bureaucratic concern. Keir Starmer didn't just forget to mention a few policies during his campaign, he flat-out ghosted the British people on the truth. Restructuring agricultural property relief, slamming farmers with unexpected inheritance tax bills, not a peep. The voters never signed up for that. And yet, here we are, watching a man who claims to be the voice of the people behave more like a backroom bureaucrat quietly sharpening the knife for a betrayal no one saw coming. And while Starmer's Labour slices through rural Britain's backbone, he's up on stage trying to rewrite history, rebranding Labour as the home of free speech and progressive ideals. Watching him spin that tale is like watching a magician wave one hand while the other steals your wallet and your voice. It's not just dishonest, it's performance art dipped in hypocrisy. Let's get one thing straight. Keir Starmer was once the director of public prosecutions. He was supposed to uphold justice, not muzzle the public. But fast forward to today, and you'd be forgiven for thinking he's gunning for the role of Britain's chief censor. He doesn't just tolerate cancel culture, he's the poster boy. If silencing thought were a competitive sport, Starmer would have more medals than Michael Phelps. Censorship under Starmer isn't just policy, it's practice. Dissenters, gone, controversial speakers, deplatformed, citizens with the wrong opinion, investigated. It's not a slippery slope anymore, it's a landslide. From Labour's internal witch hunts to their wider ideological purges, the message is clear. Step out of line, and you're done. And don't let the polished press briefings fool you. Starmer's Labour runs on paranoia and control. He smiles for the cameras while steering the country straight into Orwellian waters, waving his commitment to democracy like a shield, while torching the very foundations of it behind closed doors. Now cue the mental gymnastics routine Starmer pulls every time he's confronted about free speech. Well, I believe in free speech, but... And there it is. The but. The oldest trick in the authoritarian playbook. Free speech, but not if it offends. Not if it questions. Not if it pokes holes in the official narrative. Free speech as long as it's bland, harmless, and fully aligned with Labour's PR department. And don't forget the absurdity of it all. We're living in a country where hardened criminals walk free, while 60-year-old women are dragged through the courts over Facebook comments. Sure, their words might have been crass, but offensive speech is still speech. And last time we checked, freedom meant the freedom to offend. That's not just law, it's life. So the strategy, muzzle the public, mute the opposition. And when Joe Rogan finally called him out, it wasn't just a roast, it was a wake-up call. A cold, bracing slap of truth in the face of a politician who's been hiding behind buzzwords and political correctness for far too long. Starmer wants to play grown-up in the room? Then let's talk grown-up realities. You can't defend democracy while gagging dissent. You can't parade your love of justice while criminalizing unpopular thought. You can't claim moral high ground while building your legacy on silence, suppression, and censorship. He'd rather pretend the public's concerns don't exist than risk offending a focus group. He's the kind of leader who sweeps controversy under the rug, then trips over it 5 minutes later. Let's be honest, they're doing it because they sense the ground shifting beneath them. And thank God for Joe Rogan, who cut through the charade and called Starmer out for what he is, a political coward in a suit, dressing up his censorship campaign as leadership. Joe didn't just make noise, he dropped the hammer. He gave us the raw, unapologetic honesty we've been dying to hear. For that, the man deserves a standing ovation, or maybe just a megaphone loud enough to drown out the whimpering silence of Keir Starmer's leadership. The calm voice of reason, bringing grown-up politics back to Britain. But scratch the surface and what do you find? A man who treats reporters like landmines? Press conferences with Starmer are less journalism and more hostage negotiation. Tough questions, dodged, vague answers, they play along. Behind that bland exterior is a man terrified of volume, terrified that someone, somewhere might say something he didn't approve first. So the next time someone tells you Keir Starmer is the face of modern British leadership, just remember, this is a man who fears noise, especially the noise of free, unfiltered, unapologetic speech. And that's what Joe Rogan revealed. The man behind the curtain, not a statesman, not a visionary,